Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to another episode of Morning Tea where we sit in our sleepwear and discuss current events. There is no tea today, it's laundry. So we are going to be folding clothes, and I appreciate you guys understanding this hodgepodgey ass video. There is so much happening in my house. There's a wedding later on this week, and people are coming to the house. We have guests, I need to clean, and I just didn't know when I was going to film this video and how I was going to get everything done. So I said to myself, you know, you're going to have to fold clothes and there will be no tea. But you guys are used to that. Okay, so let's jump into it. A lot of things have happened, and I want to say a thank you to Deirdre and Shayna for sending me articles. You guys, thank you so much. This week especially has been difficult for me to keep up with what's going on in the world. And you guys are great. I love Deirdre because she introduced me to BookTube. I think she found me from a video I did where I talked about my favorite books, and she's great. Brown Girl Reading. If you guys are into books and reading books, she reads books, she reviews books. Brown Girl Reading here on YouTube, and I think another place as well. Brown Girl Reading. Other person who sent me was Shayna. I think it's Shayna. That's how my boss spells her name, and her name is Shayna. And she sent me an article about the New York City Ballet. And I think that is really interesting. There's a lot of sexual misconduct going on in the world right now. So I think I'm just going to roll that all up into one ball in the very beginning. And I'm sorry to start off with this. Sorry if it triggers some of you. But I think it's important to continuously have these conversations so that we understand we as a society are moving towards something where we respect each other and we respect each other's bodies regardless of gender or whatever. Let's start with that. So there was some sexual misconduct with the New York City Ballet. Earlier this year, there was an incident with the creative director of the New York City Ballet and his sexual misconduct with certain members or certain students of the company, and he was let go due to that. And then now we have a case of 3 of the stars of the ballet. We have 2 men and a woman. The woman and one of the guys, Chase Landley. So Chase Finley and the woman were, I guess, in a relationship, and I'm not sure what happened within the relationship, but they broke up, and then she came forward with these allegations of sexual misconduct, saying that he had forced her to have sex when she didn't want to, and situations like that within the company. Also, there was an allegation against another gentleman. So the couple that were together were Chase Finley and Alexandra Waterbury. She's filed a lawsuit against the ballet company because she's saying that it was sort of a fraternity environment and that people knew that this kind of thing was happening, especially with the male ballet dancers against the female ballet dancers, and it just was kind of culture, and they were allowed to do whatever, because I think when you're in dance, you are physical with people, and you do a lot of touching, and you're very close to each other, and it's a very body on body type situation, any kind of dance mostly, and so it's easy for situations like that to get out of hand, especially if you're one of 3 straight men in an entire cast of women, and there can be a culture, a fraternity like culture. I mean, I we know how that is in actual fraternities. So a lot of people are trying to dismiss Alexandra because they're trying to say that, why is she coming out with these allegations now that they're broke up, and maybe it's some kind of tactic of hers to try to get back at him. But I love how the automatic response is to go to someplace crazy. Yes, there are probably cases of women who have lied on men about rape. I'm not denying that, but why is it the first thing we think? Oh, she's lying. If the ducks aren't all in a row on how the rape happened, if the woman isn't laying somewhere bleeding and bloody and her father and her brother haven't vouched for the rape, then it's it may or may not have happened. It's just crazy. Unfortunately, we are gonna have to go with what the victims are speaking about. And I think it's really important to highlight this kind of things, especially in the ballet, where we think of the ballet as being this place that's the ballet, it's kind of above it all, but really, sexual misconduct happens everywhere, and people should be held accountable for their actions. And this boys will be boys situation is ridiculous, deplorable, and it needs to be let go. And we need to start teaching our sons and our daughters about this and about their bodies and how they're allowed and should behave towards each other. So the next allegation of sexual misconduct that we're going to talk about is Brett Kavanaugh, who is up for a Supreme Court justice nomination, and he's gotten a couple of women come forward, and he didn't get them, but a couple of women came forward and said that while they were in college between 1981 and 1982, he and his friend were involved in parties where women were heavily intoxicated or their punch was spiked in order for their inhibitions to be down, and it would be harder for them to say no. So my first thought was, this is a 53-year-old man, and all of a sudden this woman is coming forward saying that she was at a party and he was at a party where she was gang raped, and he didn't participate, but he was a part of the culture that allowed it to happen. He was there, he didn't stop it. Another woman was saying that he actually forcefully at a party once in college, like, groped her and wouldn't take no for an answer, and like started to take off her clothes before she managed to get out of the room. And then I think another woman said that she saw him in line waiting to have sex with a woman who was incapacitated while they were in college. So there was a lot of college shenaninery going on. And at first I was like, but those allegations are so old, and did he rape her, and like, what's going on? And then I thought to myself, Wahima, what does it matter how old it was? What does that matter? If you were an adult at the time, an adult that should have known better at the time, what does it matter? That's like saying, oh, this person stabbed somebody in 1982 and now they're being held accountable for it. They shouldn't be held accountable for it. But that person who got stabbed still has the scar, and the scarring still feels tender, and it hurts. The scar has got that person messed up. They have been violated, and something needs to be happening, a reconciliation to that stabbing, to that scar. And that's what that is like. And I was just like, you know what? That is exactly what, for some reason, we are socialized to believe that there is some kind of time limit on something like that, especially when a crime like that has everlasting consequences to the person that it happened to. So why shouldn't the person nowadays be held responsible? Especially and specifically if he doesn't even come forward and say, yes, I'm sorry, I did that, and I have been haunted by my actions for all of my life, and I want to formally apologize and step down from the position. That would have been a smart move by Brett Kavanaugh. But no, he's fighting it and saying that nothing ever happened. I can't wait for a scenario in which men just start to be like, yes, I'm sorry, I didn't know. It was the culture at the time. I got wrapped up. I thought that's what I was supposed to be doing. And now that I know that I could have scarred a handful of women throughout my lifetime, I want to formally apologize to all of them and let them know that I am a victim of culture and rape culture, and people leading me to believe that my actions towards women was okay because I'm a man and that's what men are supposed to do, is conquer. Like, why can't we just be honest? We know we can't. Why can't we just be honest? Like, just, you know, you wouldn't want this to be your daughter. You wouldn't want this to be your niece. It's like, it seems like some men only care about situations like that when it happens to women that they know. Brett, I don't know if he has daughters. What if someone did to his daughter what he did to those women? How would he feel? The same? Would he tell his daughter, no, you have to live with the scar, it's too old? I don't think so. So our last topic on sexual misconduct is Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby has been sentenced to 10 years in prison, and I honestly think that Bill Cosby's gonna die in jail. Like, not because, like, I don't think he's going to be able to serve the full 10 sentence. He's 81 years old, and jail is hard on people, especially when you're used to a certain type of lifestyle and all of a sudden you go down to nothing. I feel like his depression and whatever else might happen to him is going to come forward, and he's not going to live very long in prison. You know, it's seeing these pictures of him is so sad, because I think of him so fondly from the Cosby Show, but you know, those roosters came home, you know? And it's time for him to serve for, you know, he has been, I feel like, on lease for the last 40 years. He's been doing this to women over the last 40 years. And now he's time, you know, the Pied Piper is here and it's time to pay. And I know that people want to defend him, but you can't defend him. It's not defendable. He drugged women and then had sex with them. It was a power move, and he did it for a very long time. And he hurt a lot of women. A lot of people. He hurt a lot of people, and he deserves to do time for it. I mean, he got away with it for so long, right? So, I mean, I feel like it's almost an injustice that he goes to jail now at 81 when, like, he's legally blind, and people are saying that in the courtroom, like, they felt like he didn't really even know what was going on. He's, like, resigned to the fact that this is going to be his life. Like, doesn't even feel like, besides his reputation, and even then, like, I don't necessarily know that we are all going to I'm still gonna watch The Cosby Show. Like, I'm gonna still recognize the great things he did for the Black community, but I can still recognize those great things and feel for the women that he attacked. I can do both. I'm a person with a vast wealth of emotional grid. Like, my emotional grid is just so vast that I'm able to do that. And I hope that you're able to do it too, right? We can appreciate Mr. and Mrs. Claire Huxtable. We can appreciate Dr. Huxtable and still, want Bill Cosby to serve time in prison for his actions. So there's that. All right, so let's move on to something a little bit more light. Let's talk about Katt Williams and his tirade about Tiffany Haddish. Like, girl, like, what? I mean, here's the deal. Like, I actually like Tiffany Haddish, and I do think that people's comments about her, showing off a certain stereotype of a Black woman can sometimes be a little, like, extra. But, like, I'm so proud of the girl who grew up in foster care. I'm so proud of Tiffany for, like, working hard and grinding and making it to this place right now. Like, she's been in the game for a minute, and for Katt to break her down like that doesn't even make any sense, talking about her white boyfriend or white husband. Like, what does it have to do with anything? Tiffany is funny. There are people who love her. There are people who think that she's the funniest person. You know what I'm saying? Like, who cares? Are you mad, Katt? And Katt just won an Emmy. He won that Emmy. So we know that Katt is a good, talented person. Not a good person. I don't know that he's a good person. But he's a talented person, and we know that. And for him to say that stuff is just so tacky to me, especially about a Black woman in an industry where we're trying to diversify. I mean, I watched the interview with Kevin Hart, and I think that even though he didn't let her talk, Kevin Hart, during this interview on The Breakfast Club, I really, really, really do think that Kevin Hart hit the nail on the head with his commentary towards Katt. And I feel the exact same way. I'm going to link that video so that you guys can go watch it. It's a really good interview. I mean, Tiffany didn't say much, which I'm okay with, because if she wanted to speak, I think she would have spoken up. But she wanted Kevin to do the speaking for her, and I think that's fine. You're allowed to just, like, chill. She's probably been on the road for a very long time, and if Kevin has the energy to interview, then God bless him. You know what I'm saying? She's got, like, 3 movies coming out. I'm really excited for that movie with her and Tika Sumpter, and I'm also really excited about the movie with her and Kevin Hart that's coming out soon. So this fall is going to be the fall of Tiffany Haddish. She's going to be on shows. I think she's, got a Netflix deal going on, which is, like, fantastic. And, just watch that interview, you guys, and let's be positive about people in the culture who are doing well. You know what I'm saying? Let's be positive about women who are doing well, who are surviving, Like, it's all love. I don't get the hate. Like, why do you have time to hate on people? Like, you can hate on people in private. I agree with that. I talk mess about a lot of people in private. But on a public platform, and if I had a voice, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to tear somebody down. I'm going to keep it real shady in my bedroom. You know what I'm saying? But not on these streets. That just is tacky. Like, who does that? Oh, okay, so I got an update. We got an update on the shooting that happened in Dallas, Texas, where that lady cop shot Botham Jean. He actually was buried on Monday, and then the officer was fired on Monday because they said, not that she resisted arrest, but they referred to it as some kind of conduct that happened while she was being arrested, and they felt like she wasn't representing her station well. And it's like a common thing that police officers can sometimes be fired for, just not representing the post. And there's a lot of different sides of this story. There are people who say that they knew each other and they were sleeping together and she got mad at him and she did it on purpose. In her affidavit, she said that she went to her door, went to try to unlock it, and she saw the door was ajar, and she opened the door and she called out, and then a figure cloaked in darkness came towards her, and she just shot twice and killed him. And then there's neighbors' accounts who said that they heard a woman banging on the door saying, "Let me in, let me in." So there's a lot of different stories to this. They're still doing the drug test to see if she was on drugs or drunk when this happened. And I think that this is definitely more than meets the eye. And I think that the Dallas Police Department was very smart to fire her. And her lawyers are trying to say that it was preemptive and they felt pressure by the community. And I'm like, no, you need to be fired for that. Even if you didn't mean to do it, even if it was a straight up accident, you need to be fired. You can no longer be a police officer. Like, you just lost your rights to be a police officer, I feel. I don't care what the circumstances were. You were an off-duty cop who went to an apartment and killed somebody. Even though it was accident, you need to be fired. So she's being brought up on charges of manslaughter, which I think will stick definitely way more than a murder charge. So let's get her to the manslaughter, and let's get her to maximum for manslaughter, because you should know better as a woman of the law. As a person of the law, you should absolutely know better. There is no excuse. You don't get to just get off willy-nilly. You have to, you made the decision to serve and protect, and you did not. And so now you have to reap the consequences of that behavior. So the next thing I want to talk about is this situation of this Paris college, or this French college, deciding that they wanted to bring in diversity to their school. So they took like a photo of like some of the students like hanging out, and like it was like a stock photo. So they're all posed, ready to go. And then by the time that photo got to their newsletter, there was some noticeable differences. Like, they added some people of color, and they also made some people who were not of color by literally shading in their face just slightly darker to make it look like they had diversity at that school. And listen, I know it's lit to be Black, and I know it's lit to be a person of color. I feel you. I understand the desire to have those people at your school. But lying to them about your diversity at your school is not the way to do it. And also, like, putting people in blackface is 110% not the way to do it. So, I mean, it's like, let me double check to see if they are French. I believe that they are French. Ridiculous. White students made to look Black on U.S. site for French college. Okay, so this was for U.S. people, for American people to want to go to this French college. They decided they were going to show more diversity. Personally, I feel like you are tone deaf to what's actually happening here. If you think that any American who is going to make a decision to go to France and go to school is wondering about the diversity at that school, you're like not thinking straight. Like, if that person was really worried about diversity, they would stay right here and go to a school here, or go to a school someplace else where like diversity is like a thing. Because I feel like when I think of France, I do not think of it being diverse, even though I know it is. But like, France doesn't like show diversity like on the like global scale, like in the international scale. I don't think of French people. I think of like a brown-haired man. That's what I think. I think of like a brown-haired man with like a mustache. Like, I don't think of women. I don't know what French people look like, and somebody tells me they're French, but they're definitely not Black, or they're definitely not Latino, or any kind of diverse group. Now, I know that they're there, but I'm saying that that's not the image they give off. So if you think that an American is like, ooh, this French place looks like it's diverse, that's where I want to go. They're not going there for your diversity. They're going there for something else. So the school said that they didn't know that had happened, and they took it down immediately, and they apologized, and they just went in to reprimand the person who actually did it. And I don't know, because this picture looks a little different the second time around. So it's not like it's the exact same pictures. Like, some people are in different like positions. So that's what made me wonder, like, what is Photoshop that well? You can literally take somebody who's laying back like this and change it so that they're laying back like this. Photoshop is amazing. I would never trust no picture ever again if that's what you could do. Okay, you guys, so that is the end of morning tea. Thank you guys so much for rocking with me while I did some laundry. I hope you guys got some work done too. Again, please send me articles to justcallmewa@gmail.com. I really thought it was, it helped me so much. You have no idea. Send me articles. Let me know what's going on in the world. Anything you want me to talk about or comment on, email me at justcallmewa@gmail.com. Please, I love it. Thank you to those who did. I even had 2 people email me not about morning tea at all, and just to say what's up, and that's cool too. So you can follow me on Instagram if you want to see what's happening in my daily life at justcallmewa on Instagram. Watch my stories. I don't really post much, but I do those stories, girl, and tells you exactly what's happening if you want to see what's happening at that wedding. I desperately need followers on Instagram, you guys. The reason why is because I need to get to 10K so that I am able to ask you to swipe up and link a video. That's the only way you can get it if you're at 10K. I'm at a measly, 2K, and I need just 8,000 of you to go to Instagram right now and follow me. All right, you guys, remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye.